Welcome back, everyone. I am here again with another recap slash review of Shadecraft number 3 today. This was a good book. I don't know if you heard that, but that was my cat. She's meowing at me. Anyways, um, to get into this one, this is good. It's a third issue, but it's already getting the ball rolling. I love it. It's doing great. So it starts off immediately exactly where the last one ended, and that's where Angela Owens, the new guidance counselor, is confronting Zadie about her powers. At this point, though, Zadie is a little bit out of control, and she's holding her up with this shadow monster, and she's letting Angela is just saying like, "This is who I am. I'm a special agent, and I seek people who control, who can manipulate shadow." That's one thing that I wanted to note there is that it says who can manipulate shadow as if it was a name. Not shadows. Like not I don't locate people that can manipulate shadows, but I manipulate or sorry, I find people that can manipulate shadow. And I don't know if that's going to come into anything later on, but that's just something. I don't know if it was a lettering issue that just it's a mistake, but it says shadow, not shadows. Also, this allows us to see that there are other people that can control shadows or shadow, and so it's not just Zadie. But Angela does point out that she is exceptionally powerful. She's created a bigger being. She's never seen anybody manipulate a shadow in this form, where she was literally holding this agent up and was, I don't know, about to kill her or something. I don't know, but she does lose her control over it. She overshadows Angela, so she can't help her anymore, talk her through it. And Ricky comes in and tries to calm down Zadie, and the way he does it in classic Ricky form already, he's being goofy, and this works. Honestly, this is I like it. It works best. I don't like his goofiness, but it did work out perfectly in this situation. He basically just says, "Hey, do you remember when I called out Billy for pooping his pants in class?" And well, it was me. I'm the one that pooped my pants, and she just, it's just so dumb and so goofy that it pulled her out of the situation. She's no longer in her headspace, negative headspace or anything, and she was able to just laugh and call away this shadow monster. And now Angela's able to talk again. But it was a good thing for her, and yeah, again, like I said, I don't like Ricky's behavior all the time, but that worked out beautifully. Um, so far, Angela seems like a good guy, and I'm talking about throughout this whole issue. Um, she just seems a little too good. I don't know if that's bad or not, but I foresee maybe some kind of double crossing or something happening. But she just seems too good right now. But she so far has been nothing but helpful. Um, in a way that's shown is how she is explaining to Zadie like exactly what's going on, because Zadie's like, "There's no way I can control this monster. Why did it attack me in the first place?" And Angela says, "Well, were you mad at yourself when it first attacked?" And I think that's pretty interesting, just because usually powers for the most part they don't affect the user, right? So if it's something that's going to cause the user harm, um, you wouldn't think that a being would I don't know, I'm struggling to get this out. You just wouldn't think that a living, or not a living being, but a being would attack its own user, the hand that feeds, I guess. And but this does, so Zadie was being mean to herself. um, she had just kissed Josh. It was embarrassing. She didn't like that she did that. And uh, and so the shadows went after her for her being mad at herself. And then another thing that she brings up is the fact that what's his name? The Rick is a shadow. Angela says, "I've never seen that happen before. This is new to me." So it's interesting. At that point, I'm questioning like that. Why is that new? Um, how powerful is Zadie? Um, I don't know. It's just that's a interesting that not even Angela, who does this for a living, knows about that. But anyways, this is all at the school. Zadie and Rick decide to head back home. Angela says we'll continue this for tomorrow, and as she sneaks back home, her dad is waiting in the room, and oh man, she's in trouble. Who knows what? I love this just this whole scene because again, while it's only been 3 issues and the dad has shown up in every issue, I just feel like he's not present in my opinion. Like the mom was very present in the first issue, saying like this is tough on me, talking about Rick's coma, and she kind of like takes it out on Zadie a little bit. Um, and the dad, the only times that he's been shown is just kind of like to say hi and leave, or he's just been mentioned. But this time he's there and he says, and he provides quality parenting. Honestly, he says, "You're not in trouble. You're a teenager. I understand this, and I understand that this is a rough time for you. But I need you to understand that this is also a rough time for your mother. So your actions have consequences. Think of your mother." And then as he's leaving, he's like, uh, "Also create a better body double pillow because yours sucked." And another thing he did was he gave Zadie her phone back, which is pretty cool, I guess, considering he's like, this will be between us. You don't have to tell your mother or anything. But he's being a good father in the sense of he understands that she's going through a tough time. But I don't know. I still feel like he's not very present, but it's slowly proving me wrong. And then we get to this point where I feel so dumb for not connecting two and two. Shadecraft. It's it's like your craft. The reason it's called Shadecraft is because she is literally able to control or craft the shadows around her, and that just clicked to me for in this issue, and I guess it clicked for her as well. We hear that term for the first time in this issue. Angela says, "I'm going to train you in your Shadecraft," and this is also a scene where she says, Angela says, "Wax on, wax off, Daniel," and Zadie doesn't understand the reference, and that hurts me. That just how do you not understand wax on, wax off? That's just a common sense. How do you not understand Karate Kid reference? But she doesn't get it. But she does use it later on, so at least that's something. But she does start training. So very simple. She needs to make a bunny, or she makes a bunny out of a shadow, and then she needs to put her emotion into this bunny. And unfortunately, she points it out too, she's a teenager, so most of her emotions are very negative. um, the bunny quickly becomes this shadow monster and it tries to attack her, but Angela is ready for that. She's got all these lights, like blinding lights surrounding her, and as soon as the shadow attacks, she turns them on and it goes away. But she does say here that it's still around. Like she did not take the shadow monster back, right? So this is kind of a foreshadow to the rest of this book where Josh comes and says, uh, "Were you kidding about those shadow monster things or anything like that?" And she was like, "Yeah. It was just a joke." She doesn't want to bring it up or anything. And he's like, "Oh, okay. Then I must have just been seeing things." He has been seeing shadow movement within the shadows as well. So then we find out that the shadows that she made when when she first started showing her abilities, uh, since they're not chasing her, they retreated away from her whenever her mom turned on the porch light. They Since they couldn't find her, they went towards Josh, and so they're probably gonna attack him. She doesn't know. Angela says, "Do not do anything. I will look into it." But of course, Zadie, being a teenager, being a high schooler and everything, she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go figure out what's going on." This also reminded me that Ricky can only talk to her. While Angela can see Ricky as a shadow being, she doesn't actually hear him talking. So he does talk a lot around her, and I just assumed that she could hear it, just because she's been around these kind of things. But like she said, she's never seen a situation like with a shadow Ricky before. So um, when she tells Zadie like, "Hey, don't do anything," Ricky does say, "You are going to do something, obviously, aren't you?" And Zadie responds to both of them, basically saying, "Yeah, absolutely. Like, yes, absolutely, I'm gonna do something, and yeah, absolutely, I won't do anything to Angela. So that was pretty cool. I like that. Um, So to protect Josh, heads over to his house and she wants to basically ask him on a date. That's what Ricky keeps saying, and she's like, "It's not a date. I'm just trying to protect him." Blah blah. But she was gonna ask him to go to the a fair or carnival that's happening in their town at the moment. When she goes to knock on the door, though, she hears a voice. It's a very familiar female voice. So she gets Ricky to envelop her, and she's hiding whenever they come out. And that was actually really cool. But she sees Carla, and Carla, if you don't remember, is her school bully that like scared her with her own shadow or whatever. Um, and so now we find out that Josh is dating Carla, and it's like, oof, bad choice, man. Like that's, come on, poor taste, you know. But she follows them to the carnival. It's rough on her because every shadow there, she says every shadow is scary. So she doesn't know what's a monster and what's just a shadow from the carnival. Um, but while her and Ricky talk about like how can Josh like Carla, they she does find them breaking up, and good on Josh. He does say that he's like, I Zadie is my friend, and the way you're treating her is not okay. And Carla is still not getting it. I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, as well as Josh, um, because like he you know that she's bullying your friend. How could you date her? And he brings it up, but here, even when it gets brought up to her, she's still like not in denial or anything. But she does say like, "What does it matter? It's just a joke. It's not a big deal. It's not serious." So she doesn't get it, and Josh sees that, and he says, "Well, it's over. It's they're breaking up." Um, but behind them, whenever that's happening, we see the shadow monster coming behind them and is about to attack. And this is pretty cool. Zadie kind of just positions herself perfectly in front of a light so where she can punch the shadow monster with her own shadow. Um, she does that. She puts her hand, like fist in the mouth and opens it and like is able to like blow it up. But she basically just wants to distract the monster from Josh and call the attention towards herself, right? Um, which she does successfully. And then when the monster attacks, it's about to envelop her, eat her, um, and she remembers something that Angela said to her, which was, "You need to accept that you're never going to be normal again, but that doesn't mean that you can't be extraordinary." And she takes that to heart. She controls her feelings. She's able to accept what it is, and immediately she picks up a shadow, knocks out the shadow monster, and is able to turn that shadow monster into a tiny little rabbit, just like back in her training. And then eventually she just blows it away, and that was really cool. It doesn't seem like it was like a far fetched thing. I went from learning one thing and now I can do level 5 of whatever. It looks like she went through the steps for it, and it was cool. It was good to see. After she defeats the monster, she goes to Angela and says, "Hey, you know how you told me not to go after the monster?" Angela cuts her off and says, "Yeah, you went and did it anyways, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, I took care of it. Everything's okay. Um, good news. That's it." Like she's like, "Yeah, nothing to worry about. Everything's taken care of." Unfortunately, um, Angela has bad news for her, and she says, "I don't think that Shadow Ricky is your brother." And that's just how it ends right there. It's kind of like a close up on the Shadow Ricky, and Zadie looking like confused, like that's impossible. And that's it. That's the book. I mean, I gotta say, I give this an 8 out of 10. This is a great book. It builds the story. I don't know if you've been watching, but I love the progression of building on a story. Um, but it's a great balance between story progression and just action. So to keep you, what's it called? To keep you entertained, basically. A lot of positives here. Zadie's training is a great positive. I love to see that she's actually trying to control her powers and not just like, well, we'll see how it goes, right? Um, the short fight scenes felt earned. Like I said earlier, it didn't seem like she learned a level 1 technique and was able to apply it to a level 5 situation. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it looks like what she learned she was able to apply, and to me that's better than a, of this huge scene whatever where she gets lucky and is able to stop whatever situation. And then we have, I'm proud of the character's actions, which I'm talking about Josh. I'm proud that he saw a problem with Carla. He talked to her. He didn't just like, you know what, I'm breaking up with you because of it, but he actually tried to talk to her and say, this is a problem. Are you willing to change, or are you willing to accept that you did something wrong, apologize, something, right? And obviously once we see her reaction, he knows that it's not gonna change, so he breaks up with her, and good on him. And Angela is a mystery. I like her. I like the fact that she's teaching Zadie everything she needs to know, but there is still a mystery there of, is she a good person or not? Do we know that? We're gonna find out, right? And Dad making more appearances. Love that. Like I said, at first I felt like he was just absent, but now I'm getting a sense that maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I am. And last positive is that they're having callbacks to the prior events. So um, I'm talking about, the shadow monster attacking Zadie. They explain why, and I appreciate that. So far, no plot holes really. And the whole thing with Ricky, Shadow Ricky, being maybe just a monster that she created. That's another like callback to an event where she was talking to her brother, and this is when her powers were just manifesting. She was in a negative headspace, kind of. She just missed her brother. Negative in the sense that it's sad, not positive or happy or anything like that. But she missed her brother, so she conjured up, subconsciously, of course, uh, her own brother, Shadow, and that's probably what's gonna happen. Next issue is probably just gonna be her having to just accept that she needs to do away with this shadow, because one, she doesn't know if it's going to stay positive as it has been. She could probably keep him around, but it's not Ricky. So when Ricky does wake up, what is she going to do with this shadow? Probably not a good idea, because then that's just asking for a villain origin story, right? um, but she's going to have to come to terms with doing away with him. I'm sure the whole issue is going to be of just, thank you for being there, blah blah blah, I love you, but you got to go. And thank you for the moments that you gave me my brother back, kind of thing. And it's gonna be maybe a sad issue, but um, I hope she does do away with him. Um, but knowing how these stories kind of go, she's probably just gonna keep him around, and it's gonna be that whole origin of a villain, which is also not a bad idea. So I'm happy with both. Either way, like I said, 8 out of 10, great story, and that's it. You guys have a good day.